so quiet.
Welcome.
Hey, Fiends.
Welcome
Back
to
another
episode
of
Let's
Get.
Spooky.
That's perfect. We're rolling with that.
Okay.
And on today's episode, we are talking about medical.
The history of, because the history of medicine, medical procedures, medical.
I was saying, what should we call this episode? And we're like, medical shit.
Well, no, because
things.
I have a fascination with medical ways of handling, stuff we deal with now, or ailments and like wounds. And everyone, no matter what, humanity has dealt with wounds. They've dealt with like disease and getting their fingers chopped off by whatever war cries and cuts and bullshit they've been going through.
You're fascinated by it. So like you're not.
I am. And I'm actually like, I am both fascinated and terrified because I'm on the opposite spectrum where in present day I don't like going into hospitals and such. But I have always, as a person, I've been drawn to like collecting medical antiques and looking into like old practices of like amputation and like tools. Like I literally have like bone saws in my apartment and weird. And I brought some things for us.
Some props.
Today's episode is mainly about like, the history of not modern medicine, because that we're not gonna prescribe everyone Tylenol and call it a day.
Now we know so much about things, whereas like in the past they were misdiagnosing people.
Yeah.
They were like cutting people's like parts of their brains out and because they thought that would fix it.
Yep.
Whereas now we know so much more and we can treat things better. I mean, I would like to think we can treat things better.
We're a little bit better than the 1800s.
Yes, we're a little more advanced.
Yeah.
So I guess like every episode, we kind of start relating our topic to not necessarily current horror movies, but things in the horror genre.
Exactly.
So we both have some horror films that relate to our topic. Very first one obviously goes all the way back to 1931 is Frankenstein.
Yes.
Which is one of the classics that pretty much everyone that loves horror knows this film. But modern day movies, I guess one of them that I would say is probably for me the one that like grosses me out the most. I was doing my research and I'm like, I didn't really initially think about it, but I think it's because I've blocked it from my mind because it was so traumatic, is the Human Centipede.
Which is so fucking fucked up on many levels of uncertainty that I have yet to comprehend.
It's
I haven't
nasty.
finished. I've never finished the movie.
Really?
I cannot. Like I remember watching it at a party, and I don't know why.
It's definitely not a party movie.
Of all the things, no, it was a very strange party, and like it just was playing, and I was like, "What is?" It was on a projector wall. It wasn't even on a real screen. I was just like,
so it was a giant human.
It was a
centipede
giant,
on the wall?
and it was jarring, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was a little bit drunk, but my friends were like, just Google it. Look at the Wikipedia. And
no, don't Google it.
I was like,
no.
Whoa.
So really like a moral of the movie is like, if you're ever lost in another country, they were like, I don't forget, were they in Sweden? They were like in some other European country.
Yeah.
If your car breaks down and there's like just conveniently like a house and there's like a creepy man, don't trust him. He's probably going to drug you and turn you into a human centipede.
When in doubt, don't trust a creepy man.
I mean, but to be fair, like he had a really nice place. He was a little creepy, but I would.
That sounds like all the sugar daddies of LA. He had a nice place.
He
was a little creepy, but he had what I needed.
And then he gave me a drink, and then I was shrugged, and then my mouth was attached to somebody's asshole.
Yeah,
and
that's when
ruined.
Life sucks. Literally.
Yeah, and like when you think about the concept of that movie, is like it's. I don't like centipedes.
Who wrote that?
I don't remember. I know that it actually, I don't know because I meant to write the year that it came out.
Because we don't want to know. We don't really want to Google that man or woman.
Like think about that. Okay, if you had to be part of the human centipede, this is getting real. What part would you be? Would you be?
I would be at the front.
I like that would be the front. So if we had a battle,
why would you not be at the front?
I mean, what if we had to fight each other for the front?
You cannot want to be in the middle. And you don't want to be at the back.
I mean, I don't think anybody wants to be in the middle or the back, but someone, like there's three of us in this room, and if we had to fight over who would be the front, middle, and the back, I
feel like I have the mental and muscular capacity to destroy you guys, and I'd be at the front.
Wait, what does your muscular capacity have to do with being
I mean,
in the front?
I can throw. I have picked up an 160-pound man.
Oh,
you did the
since last time we talked, you did the Spartan race.
Yeah, I did.
How did that go?
It went good.
That doesn't sound very convincing.
I didn't die. No, I didn't die.
You finished?
Yeah, I did.
Congratulations. I would have died. I wouldn't have finished. You would have had to drag me.
So I have a background in like running a lot.
You do run a lot. You'd be like, oh, I ran 7 miles
running
this
from
morning.
my problems. I'm running from my
from your life,
from my Dorito intake,
the Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah, I'm just kind of constantly running.
So I think that because you finished a Spartan race, I guess that you would be in the running for first of the Human Centipede. But I mean, I want to be first too. But if we had to fight for it, you'd probably beat me. So I guess middle would be better than being last.
It depends on what it's based off of. If it's based off of Instagram followers, you would be in the running.
Do I get to be the front? Oh, yes.
I would be in the middle, which sucks.
Cameron would be last.
So I would still be fucked.
No. Well, regardless, I don't want to be any part of the Human Centipede. No. And then didn't they make, there was a second one? I think there was a Human Centipede too.
I don't know. I have never wanted to look at more.
I didn't watch it. I don't like centipedes, and I don't like the idea of humans being a centipede. So we're going to say, although...
Kudos to the no-no on the Human Centipede.
We don't like it.
We don't like it.
In the medical horror genre, it definitely finds a place there. Another older one that had a remake recently, I think the remake was like a couple years ago, 2017, but Flatliners, which the original came out in 1990. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
So it's Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, and then Julia Roberts. There's like 2 other people, but I don't remember. Are basically like they're medical students and they're playing with the idea of like medically induced death. Mm-hmm. So they basically kill themselves to figure out what happens in the afterlife. And then they do the little, what do you call them? The paddles, bring them back to life. But because they're playing with death, weird shit starts happening to them and they all start kind of dying off. So they're figuring out, like, obviously don't screw with that.
Yeah.
But there was a remake recently and I don't remember who was in it. I didn't think it was that great. The original was still the best. But again, that idea of like medicine and horror, which is a fascination that we have, not necessarily even in the horror genre. There's like how many medical shows on TV? People are fascinated with seeing other people go through.
Yeah,
stuff.
There's a lot of weird shit on the internet in various forms. My favorite was like... And it came out in 2016, was A Cure for Wellness, which didn't get great reviews, but it was visually...
I haven't seen that.
It's so good. So, like, it's weird because it got, like, I think it was, like, 62% on... Or 6.2, like, on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, people just didn't like it, and I don't know why, because it was so...
I mean, I feel like 6.2 is not terrible on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was fucking beautiful, and the way that it was shot, it felt like a Guillermo del Toro film, because it was just very, like... It was just very well done, and it had... It was shot and it was directed by Gore Verbinski, and it was like the CEO of a financial company. He goes to this like wellness center to get treated, and so they send one of their other employees to go and get him because they're like, where the fuck is he? So he goes to this facility, and it like kind of looks like this like happy little place where everyone's like holding up their yoga balls and they're like, look at us, we're like getting treated.
We're cured.
Yeah. And so like he quickly finds out that it's not a place that you're getting treated, you're kind of getting worse. So he tries to escape, and he ends up getting in a car crash, and his legs are like destroyed. And so he's stuck there. And so he's like constantly like wobbling around, and he realizes that like the water is toxic.
So are they keeping people sick?
They're keeping people sick, which is the irony, because it's called like A Cure for Wellness, and it was based off of the book like The Magic Mountain that was written in 1924. But like they also are conducting a shit ton of medical experience where they're like putting people in these like, I forget what they're called, I don't know the proper term, but it's like these giant, like they look like submarine caskets, and they're basically sucking the good shit out of the humans and taking that, and then they're also like feeding other people the bad water. And
weird.
It's a very bizarre but beautiful movie.
It's kind of like that idea, and you see this happen in actual real life, which it's really sad. Like people making whether it's relatives or like loved ones, like making them sick so that they can keep them, like to treat them.
Yeah, that was like the
what's that new Hulu
Ellie?
show?
Well, no,
Oh,
remember
Eli.
that movie? Eli.
Eli.
I
yeah.
always get that wrong.
It's not Ellie. It's
Eli. But no, it was the same thing. Where like they always like they're like, oh, like you're sicker than you are.
Yeah, there's a show on, and I can't remember the name, and the actress shaved her head for it as a Hulu show, and it was that basic idea of like the mom making her sick to basically take care of her.
Yeah.
And it's that sense of need. So we see that happen in, like, we're talking about horror movies, which are made up, but you see it happen in real life, which is obviously like super traumatic and super sad, but it's that need to be needed.
Yeah.
And like so much so that you are afraid that that person will run away from you.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense. Yeah. That's a huge, the Sixth Sense is like such a great horror film, or I guess, is it horror or technically thriller film? And it's kind of along the lines of also Get Out, which is a newer one that a lot of people like. There was rave reviews about Get Out, and it's like that psychological, medical in the sense that it's messing with the brain. And for me, when I watched that movie, it was not what I anticipated it being at all. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen any of these films, we're going to talk
for
about
like
it.
almost a year though.
Been out for a while. But the idea of someone going into your brain and messing with your brain, and you being unaware of what's happening. And that movie is, I guess it was kind of profound for the time. It was something that came out, I think it was a Sundance film, and people didn't really like have high expectations or really know what to expect. And it's basically the idea of I think the dad was a neurosurgeon and the mom was a psychotherapist. So this white family, the daughter has a black boyfriend and makes him think that it's the first African-American boyfriend that she's had. And as he comes to uncover that is this like whole dark underground of what the family is doing to people. And as things start slipping out, he starts realizing what's going on and kind of figures it out. But what was really cool is as I watched the film, I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
Which I loved. And a lot of the times
Was that Us or Get Out?
Get Out.
Okay.
Yeah. Us, I guess, was kind of on the similar like psychological thing, but not so much medical.
Us had just medical scissors, and that's why.
Yeah, it just had gold
that's why I was
scissors.
just like, oh wait, we like scissors.
We do like scissors.
No, Get Out was kind of like an iconic moment for Jordan Peele too.
For sure.
Like that was his big
put him on the
nugget.
map for sure. So as far as did you have another show?
No, that was
movie?
like my main one.
And what was it called
like
again?
A Cure for Wellness.
Cure for
which
Wellness.
you should see.
I will watch it.
It's really fucking great.
And then we'll watch Human Centipede.
No, we won't. No, we will not.
So I know that you have a list of like a weird medical.
I have a lot of
contraptions?
weird lists. So, okay. So backstory is like I collect. This is what's like weird about me is because when I was growing up, like a lot of people wanted me to be like these prestigious things. Like they wanted me to be like a lawyer and like, or a doctor. And I was always like, I fucking hate blood. And I don't like I actually pass out in hospitals. I have a very hard time with like, and I have a story that's kind of funny because when I was living in New Hampshire, my friend, she was having a baby and I went into the hospital and it was probably like 6 hours after she had the fucking kid. It was popped out.
Yeah, it was already.
I didn't see
the
it.
kid was popped out.
I didn't see it come out. It was already done.
It was out already.
Baked, and
fully baked child.
There's something about the atmospheres of like hospitals that just make me feel really sick. And
the energy is very
went in the room,
heavy.
saw the child.
Did it look like Baby Yoda?
No, I wish. Passed out instantly on the couch.
Really?
Just, like it was like hot flashes.
Wait, why? Like
it wasn't.
What made you pass out?
I think it's the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere of like the sterileness of like the place and like the smells and all that.
Yeah.
And then
hospitals make me really sad.
I don't know what the fuck it was, but then I woke up and I knew that she knew that I don't like kids, and so she thought the whole time that I thought her kid was ugly as shit. And I was like trying to explain, I'm like, it's not that your kid looks ugly. It's that I have a personal problem and that
I just don't like hospitals.
I don't like hospitals. And that was like a thing. But like, it was like my whole life has been like people being like, you should be a doctor. You should do this. And then like now I collect medical antiques and I'm really fascinated by like really like 18th century procedures and like what people were doing. And like now how that it's transformed into things that are actually helpful versus lethal.
Right. Hence my Christmas white elephant or spooky white elephant. I got an
Your
X-ray
leg?
and a baby
And
leg.
a baby leg. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I love it. It's perfect.
Well, but the thing is like things were fucked up in the past. And I do have a list because while I have a plethora of knowledge in my brain, I also like to find like the weird things online. Because what I collect is different from what I can find on the internet. So some of my favorite tools was the trephine. And
what does the trephine do?
it was something that made a hole in the brain as a pain reliever.
It was like a little crank,
disorders.
right?
Where so basically people would have mental disorders, like people who had depression, people who had anxiety, people who just had like literally like migraines. Like they were like, headaches. Oh, you have a migraine? Let's drill a hole in your head.
Right. And they thought they were relieving the pressure and they would actually, was that the thing that like cored out pieces of the brain?
It had a manually powered drill with a cylindrical blade that was used to open the skull. The spike in the center was used to hold the blade in place while cutting. Was it the best cure? One? No, I wish. I can't fucking find one.
Yeah, they're probably really hard to find.
Then there was something called the tonsil guillotine, which is like a traditional guillotine. It was able to remove both tonsils at the same time. Tonsils were replaced by other methods due to a high rate of blood loss during the procedure and frequent tonsil remainings that were left in the mouth. So basically, it would like go in and be like
and just chop them off.
And then there would obviously be a lot of bleeding, so they'd have to like, figure out how to fix that.
And they're way back there. Well, and then like to kind of go back to what we were talking about at the beginning is they were doing these things. They're like, oh, there's a problem there. Let's just cut it off. Whereas now they say it's actually really bad to remove your tonsils. Like if you can keep them, they don't.
I got mine. You got yours?
Yeah, I have mine. Yeah, they don't remove them unless
we got our matching hats. We got our matching tonsils.
Yeah. So funny story. I went to go get Ashley downstairs, and we literally
I've never worn this fucking hat.
I wear this hat.
I've never.
Kind of off, like when I don't have my regular hat on.
It's big and it's obnoxious, and we feel like paper boys.
Yeah, so we're like matching newsboy hats, and we're going with it.
Yeah, we're going with it. We're good.
We love it.
And then one of my other favorites is the bloodletting phlegm, which could be actually another name for a band that we should think about.
The bloodletting phlegm. That could be a song on our album.
Bloodletting was a cure back in the day to balance a person's humors, which is ironic because if someone tried to balance my humor, they'd be fucked.
No balance in that humor.
This triangular blade was used for a specific purpose. To cure those humors, the blade pressed into the vein, allowing excess blood to drain out of the body until healthily sanguinity has been restored. I don't know what any of that means, to be honest. I think it's bloodletting.
Yes.
Which was a common thing.
Right.
Essentially, like
it was a tool
with a lot of medical issues, bloodletting was a thing.
Yeah.
Where they would just be like, okay, we'll take 4 liters out of you.
Yeah,
see how you feel. Yeah, you'll be good.
Have you ever given blood?
Yes, it sucked.
I've given blood quite a few times. Well, when I was younger, we had like the blood truck or whatever, the blood drive.
It's like the ice cream truck.
The blood truck.
Instead of them giving you ice cream, you give them blood.
They give you orange juice and a stale cookie.
Yeah.
So the blood drive truck or whatever, what the hell was it called? Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Bloodmobile.
They would come to the school and you would donate blood. And so I did it a couple of times until they found out I was anemic and they're like, your blood's no good to us. So I wasted it.
I'm basically anemic too.
I'm not anymore, but I used to be. But I just remember kind of circling back to things that I'm afraid of that I didn't know that I was afraid of. So needles don't really bother me. The only thing that bothers me is when they can't find the vein. And if you've seen my arms.
No one can find my veins.
My veins are literally like pulsating in front of your eyes. You can't miss them.
Disclaimer, by day, I work in a nutrition company and there are people who will draw blood. And my friend was looking at my hand. They're like, or my arm, like right here. They're like, we probably couldn't find your vein.
Wait, let me see yours.
Like it's not. Like there's nothing.
Like I look at mine.
No, you have good
pulsating.
veins. Mine are like.
But
thick
how?
I have Cabbage Patch doll arms.
How do they miss that? And they would come to.
You have good ones.
They would come to the school, and I'm like, can I just do it? Because
I
don't understand.
No veins.
I can kind of see a little one, but that's not like a good blood giving vein. So
I'm gonna die.
I would almost pass out every time. And then they would give me the orange juice, and I don't really like orange juice. And then the cookie, and they'd be like, have this and you'll be fine. So I had quite a few traumatic experiences giving blood, and I don't care for it. It hurts. It's painful.
Speaking of blood, I bought this item and I purchased it. Where the fuck did I purchase it? I think I got it in Seattle.
Are we doing an unboxing?
Well, kind of. This is like, but it's not sponsored because this is from.
I can hold it. You want me to hold the mic for you?
No, I'm gonna bump it up like a mofo.
Bump it up.
We're gonna get in right here. It's basically a pressure points for controlling arterial bleeding.
Wait,
so
what?
I've never opened this. It's wrapping. So basically, like if you're bleeding a shit ton,
It's a tourniquet.
Yeah, and I've never opened this before. Maybe it's not ideal. I don't even know what it is. It could just be a piece of ribbon. It is. No, it's not just a piece of ribbon.
It's a belt. It's a tourniquet. It's a belt.
Oh my God, there's tweezers for your eyebrows and there's scissors. But anyways.
So you know what this is? It's literally
this is the shittiest pair of scissors I've ever seen.
How much
Merry Christmas.
How much did you pay for this? Hold on.
$12.
It's a tourniquet. So it's literally like just
Isn't that an Evanescence song?
I don't think so. It's a belt essentially to close off your blood flow.
Not that I shopped at Hot Topic, but
I mean these
this is essentially
these are really terrible. No, those are nice. I got a nice little.
They're not. What could that cut? That could cut a vanilla Vienna finger.
That could cut hair. Those are like
stairs at the box. But anyways,
the tweezers are questionable.
This was something where I bought it and I thought it was cool because it was like vintage and shit.
No, you know what? You just got ripped off.
This is an example of rip off. But the next thing I'm going to show you is really cool. You put this in there.
I'll put your kit back together.
The next thing I'm going to show you.
I'm just going to put it over here.
Ow. Sorry, table. I didn't really mean to apologize to you because you're not getting hurt.
How much did you pay for that? Do you remember?
$12.
Okay.
Total.
Did you save your receipt? You should return it.
Tax. The next thing I'm going to show you is really cool. It is.
Ooh, that looks fun. Don't hurt yourself.
It's myself in the nuts.
Don't hit your nuts.
Don't hit your nuts. Not to confuse with your nuts. This is. What do you think this is?
I think that is I feel like it goes up your nose.
No.
Get a piece of brain.
You're wrong.
No, what does it do?
This is a flesh stretcher. So what I've been told, maybe they told me this wrong, so I'd buy it. So
where did you buy that and for how much?
I don't remember. At an antique store. Basically, what they would do is like when you're getting a surgery. So say like you had to go in, they like go like this and they open the flesh. Yeah. So they're just like, and then
it's like the little, the reverse pliers, right?
Yeah.
That, like,
so they're just like, oh, we need to see more of this hoe's arm. And then they go, whoop.
And they open it all up.
So I don't know whose hose arms this has been in or on. Or
did you disinfect that before you brought it here? Great.
I've used this on shoots where people put it in their eyes.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. But this is special to me because
it's a skin stretcher.
Yeah.
Skin opener.
It was literally given to me because no one wanted it.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
So anyways,
it doesn't look like it stretches very much.
But I have things in my apartment. I have this thing for your mouth. And it
reminds me of that the thing that people do, like when you go to the dentist to open your mouth.
I have something like that, and it's from the 1920s, and I've used it for shoots too. Like, and it's just obscene. And then I have old like formaldehyde bottles. I have old syringes. Like those are really fascinating to me because they're fucked up and like really nasty. Yeah, and I have bone saws.
Bone saws. I've seen your bone saws.
Bone saws are
pretty cool.
Bone saws are cheap.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know very many people on the market for bone saws.
Bone saws, it's weird because there's bone saws and then there's like these other ones the bone saws that you can just buy regularly, they're very, they're one steel piece. The ones that they were using for amputations were almost like wood saws where like you would have like the middle kind of open and then there would be the teeth and then it would go around. And yeah,
what
like
does the bone saw look like? Oh, it's
like a solid piece. Yeah. There's a difference.
Well, the bone saw connoisseur over here.
I know.
So I think the only time that I've ever been in a place where I've seen like old medical tools is in New Orleans. They have the pharmacy museum. So they have a bunch of like
I want to go there.
Tools. It's really cool. They have a bunch of like old medical things that they actually found on the property. And it was awesome. The tour is great. We saw so many cool things. The only downfall to that tour is I got poison ivy. Not from the pharmacy museum itself. It was from the backyard.
Sitting your butt on something wrong.
I sat on there was this little well, or used to be a well thing in the back of the pharmacy museum. We were shooting a show and I sat on it and I didn't think anything of it. And I got really gnarly poison. I'm assuming it was poison ivy. That's what I looked up. That's what it looked like. And it started off as bug bite looking things that were very itchy. And apparently when you itch poison ivy, it spreads. But I didn't know I had poison ivy. And so I ended up having to go to the doctor, and the doctor was like, I think that this could be poison ivy or it could be herpes. And I was like, sir.
Leg herpes?
It is definitely the first one. And he gave me a Benadryl shot in this ointment, which didn't do anything. Moral of the story, just don't get poison ivy. I don't know where I was going with that.
Don't sit on a well, honestly.
It was in a public area. There was customers and stuff. So
Customers of the well?
Well, it was in the back of the pharmacy museum where you could walk around. So I don't think it should have been there.
When in doubt, don't sit on old shit that has not been sterilized.
That's true. And there was plants growing on it, but they're it would be really cool if you sat here. So I did. And then I had a really gnarly rash all over my body. So
well, in the 18th century, they would treat that with very different things than they would now. And that's why
gotten a cheese grater and grated the skin off.
That's kind of the thing that fascinates me is the progression of medical kind of advances. Cause I was looking up, me and my many lists, I was looking up ways that, common ways that people would relieve certain, issues. And there were some very strange ones that now you'd have been like, that's insane. The tobacco smoke enema. And it's exactly what you think it is.
Wait, what?
The tobacco smoke
No, I heard you.
Yeah. So in the late 1700s, tobacco started arriving on the English shores from America, and they would use it for ailments, and it would be involving blowing smoke up a patient's rectum.
Did you see my face the whole time was
no. And this is one.
This is a team effort.
One graphic description from 1740 script. 1747. I can't even speak because it's so
because
funny.
It's disgusting.
One graphic description from 1740 script is 46 is described in the paper published. Blah blah blah. A wife's man was pulled from the water, apparently dead. So this lady's dead. She's fucking dead. But this tobacco smoke
You just said
enema,
a wife's man, right? Wait, what? It doesn't matter.
A man's wife.
Somebody's dead.
That fucking shot killed me. A wife's man was pulled out from the fucking...
A wife's man. A man's wife. She dead in the ocean. Pulled out of the ocean.
She did. She fucking did. So this is the
blow
quote.
Smoke up her ass.
This is the quote. Literally, this is the quote. Amid much conflicting advice, a passing sailor proffered his pipe and instructed the husband to insert the stem into his wife's rectum, cover the bowl with a piece of perforated paper, and blow hard. Miraculously, the woman revived.
No.
Yep.
So we've been doing it all
and
wrong.
And then in the early 1800s, they're like, oh, tobacco's not good for your ass. So they stopped.
Tobacco's not good for... It's not good for anything.
It's not... They switched holes, but then it wasn't until the late 19-whatevers until they realized it's not good for anything.
So, in other words, don't blow smoke up people's asses, figuratively or literally, because it doesn't work.
But it doesn't just stop there, because then they were like, well, we're done with that. So let's think about our teeth health, and why don't we improve your smile with urine? And so one of the ways, it's today, urine has obviously the use of getting out of you.
Don't want it back. You release it.
Yeah.
Do they brush their teeth with piss?
So they thought it whitened your teeth, essentially. So they were like, the ammonia helps with their stains, which is bullshit, because I'm like, how do they fucking know what ammonia is?
Okay, you pee in the toilet, and what happens? It turns the toilet yellow.
Yeah.
So why would you put that in your mouth?
And it also reduced morning breath. So apparently leaving urine to fester for some time gives the urea time to convert into ammonia, which is good for bleaching, which they thought would be good for teeth.
Oh, so technically it did
So
actually
they
do
didn't
what it
piss in
said.
the toilet and then put it in their mouth.
Yeah.
Like they would give it the time
They
it
would
deserves.
let it cure
Yep.
to its proper form and then brush the teeth. So I guess the idea of it makes sense, but the follow through of like, there's plenty of other things you can put in your mouth to whiten your teeth besides pee.
Yeah, but that was
Live and
something
learn.
where I was like, oh, we're using all the parts right now.
Well,
They didn't know what the body was.
No.
So they were using everything.
But if you think about like all the things that we hear on the news or like in medical documentaries or research where they're like, this is great for you. And then a year later, they're like, this causes cancer. So, I mean, we don't ever really know for certain unless it's like a time thing. So we don't have enough time to really figure out. I guess we do. Once we figure out it's bad.
For instance, like right now, like people are finding out that vaping isn't that great.
Or they're getting like people are getting
popcorn lung.
Yeah, but it's weird that it's like people in Canada are getting popcorn lung, like the things you get if you work in a popcorn factory here, but the people in the United States aren't getting the same thing.
Popcorn factory. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's because it's called popcorn lung, right? Because they were ingesting the chemicals.
Yeah.
And so it's called they're breathing in the chemicals, so it's called popcorn lung.
But it's not legitimate popcorn from a popcorn factory.
That's what it started from.
Really?
From the butter in the popcorn.
Fuck.
The vapors in the popcorn, like that they have.
Because I have many friends who are going to get popcorn lung.
Well, but that's the thing, though.
You guys better stop.
From what I've heard, though, is the people. It's like people in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there was kids in Canada that were getting it, and it's different than what people are reacting to here. So I don't know if it's like the chemicals are different there. No, it's not. I swear I read an article about it.
Horse shit.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I think that like
don't listen to me.
Well, I honestly think it's like through the decades of time, like we have realized that like, you know, we need to advance our skills and like it's through error and trial. But it's like mainly error. We're like, okay, like vaping fucking hurts you.
Well, and it's also like it's the regulations too, because if you go to a medical marijuana shop that is licensed, they're required to have certain rules. Like it's like not necessarily like the FDA, but similar.
Well,
like there's
ain't
rules and
hurting
regulations.
nobody, but
right. But if you're just getting your stuff from God knows where and you don't know, there's no label on it, you don't know what it is. Like I guess if the carrier oil on the vape is coconut oil versus whatever oil,
canola oil.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know.
It all reacts differently. And kind of the shitty thing, I guess, is we realize these things over time. So you find out that this thing causes cancer when
it's kind of like the Four Loko effect.
What is that?
Well, do you ever have Four Loko?
No.
Okay.
What is Four
I
Loko?
never had Four Loko, but it was a drink that back in college, because I was straight edge, so I didn't do it.
Like an alcohol?
But like, yeah, it was like banned. It was banned.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so
like an energy drink?
Yeah, but it like made you crazy. And then they were like, oh, I guess this is kind of bad, right?
Well,
and
was it
like,
called Four Loko or was that
it was
what it
called
was?
Four Loko because people were like
name.
hospitalized and shit.
So I had one time, and what the hell was it called? They were energy drinks, but they were in glass bottles. And I was working in an event, and they had like a cooler, like a big like igloo
Doesn't
cooler.
sound kosher.
Well, it just looked like a cream soda or whatever, and it was a really intense energy drink. And I thought it was like blue raspberry, cherry pop. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have the clear one because it had no food coloring, but it tasted like cherry soda. And I'm just thinking it's regular like soda. Yeah. And it turns out it was like 3 times the energy of like a 5-hour energy or a Red Bull.
Motherfucker.
My heart, like, and I don't drink energy drinks. I like barely just started drinking coffee. So my heart was like pounding. I remember going to the girl that I was working for and I was like, I think I need to like take a break. And she looks over and she sees 2 empty bottles because they were like smaller bottles.
She's like, you are having a heart attack.
Yeah. And she's like, did you just drink that? And I was free. And then she makes me like panic thinking I need to go to the hospital. So I just ended up sitting down and it worked itself out of me. Yeah. But if Four Loko was anything like that, that was like
I think Four Loko like put you in a coma and then you came back to life.
No, thank you.
No,
thank you.
I don't know if it still exists, but maybe if it does, we should try it.
No, I don't think so.
On the show.
You could try it. I will watch you, and then I will hold on standby with 911.
I think it'd be funny.
We just actually tried this amazing new Kraken Black Roast coffee rum.
It's so good. It's actually the first liquor I've had where I don't have to add ice or like anything else, really.
One thing that I love, it is 66.6 proof.
Yes.
Well done, Kraken.
We love
and
Satan.
It's black. It literally is black.
Actually, I feel like I'm going to be bleeding black if I cut myself anytime soon.
It is very nice. It's very tasty. We highly recommend.
Highly.
So I guess, what about weird medical things that have happened to us?
So
Do you have weird medical things?
Well, I've had weird things. Like I had recently this year, like I had a cyst removed out of me that had teeth in it, and that was a weird medical thing.
Yes,
which I have not openly talked about.
You have to explain more, because just saying I had a cyst that had teeth in it is very
perplexing.
perplexing.
Cyst with teeth. It was biting me. So I have like bad endometriosis, and I have polycystic ovarian disease, and so like that means like obviously like my uterus has like extra layers, and also like having cysts, it is like a big fucking flaming ball of bullshit.
And you've always had this, right?
I've had it since I was 18, but it was bad when I was 18. It's been getting progressively better. But so I went from having like 13 cysts in me and having my uterine wall being fucked up to like having them gradually, they would burst or they would have to be removed. And so
what happens when that, like, what do you feel?
It's kind of, you do feel, it's kind of a weird feeling, and it depends on the severity and the size of it, but you will feel, because it can potentially kill you. So if it's big enough, because it's different fluids, like
it's releasing like toxins into your body. It's
releasing toxins. So you can feel it. It feels almost like a cold heat, which is hard to explain. But you can tell when you need to go to the doctors or whatever. I've been dealing with this.
But only if you know what it is, right? So like when you first had it, what happened? Like, how did you find out that you had this?
I had been feeling like a shit ton of pain, to be honest. Like I was running a lot, and it was when I was 18 where like I had lost a lot of weight because I was obese as a child. And so then I started running a lot, and I was just like, I have a lot of like pain.
Like period pains?
It felt like cramps on crack. Okay. Like it felt like cramps, but I was carrying something, and
it feel
was
the
like
weight
it was
of it?
piercing. Like it was it was like someone stabbing me, and I was just like, it like at 18 you're like, I don't think I need an ultrasound, but like that's what they recommend, and that's when I found out. And like it's been like a gradual decay, literally, of like cysts having to go away. And recently this year, like I had been dealing with a lot of internal bleeding, and so I was just like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. Like there's something a little off, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because I'm stressed and I'm not sleeping a lot, but that wouldn't cause internal bleeding.
Right.
So then like I finally got an ultrasound, and they were like, you have a dermoid cyst. And what that essentially is it's a cyst that can carry either hair follicles or like even like teeth and bone. So I had been literally having, like, when I was running a lot, and like it was like literally biting into me. And so that was something that was like a medical thing that I had never heard of in my life.
But they removed them, right?
Oh, they removed it.
And what made them, like, was it because they'd grown so big that they're like, these have to come out?
It had to come out no matter what. But it was like every time I had my period, it hurt like shit. But it was like when I didn't have it, if I was doing extraneous, like walking, running, other activities,
like being
physical things in the nether region, it would just bleed like a motherfucker. And I was just like, I feel like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And so they took it out, and it was kind of bizarre, because like they had, like there was like,
you showed me.
It doesn't look like normal teeth. It's like bone-like teeth. They're not like canine.
It's like it's the same the same materials that would make up your teeth, but not necessarily in the form of a tooth.
Yeah. So that was like a thing where I was like, this is something I've never heard of in my life. I wouldn't have Googled like, hey, do I have teeth in my ovaries?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Like it was a very strange phenomenon, and I am grateful that someone picked it up, because none of my other doctors ever looked at my ultrasounds and was like, hey, there's some fucking bone in there.
Right.
Like,
and I think that's like the crazy thing, because I think nowadays we feel like we're so medically, and technology is so advanced that we should be able to figure anything out.
Yeah.
Like if something's wrong with you, someone should be able to figure something out. But the fact is, like, we don't know everything there is to know about the human bodies. There's still so much for them to discover. So just because we have the technology doesn't mean we know every medical ailment that people have.
Yeah. And like, that was probably the weirdest one. Like I've had like my clavicle separated, my foot shattered, like all these
like
things.
broken
But
bones
yeah,
and
like,
pulled muscles.
but like that was the thing where I was like, that's like some alien shit.
Yeah, that's crazy to have something growing in your body that in a place where it's not supposed to be growing, and then they take it out and you can actually physically see
You're like,
it.
you're cute. I'll name you Jimmy.
Did you keep it?
No, they wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you. Would you have kept it if they let you keep it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where would I put him?
I don't know what a cyst, like, what did it look like?
It looked like a chicken nugget, like a raw chicken nugget.
Oh.
With teeth.
Just like meat with teeth in it.
You saw the photo.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
did.
it's a little guy.
Huh.
He's a little guy.
Cameron's like, I would have kept it. What do you put it in a jar?
Deep fried it? Jimmy the Third.
And then fed it to you for creepy treats? I'm not that twisted.
No. What about you?
I haven't had anything like super out of the ordinary. Like, I think most of my things where I've ended up in the hospital, I've never broken anything. I fractured an ankle, I've twisted an ankle. But I think the most bizarre thing is I was probably maybe 15 years old, and I got what I thought at first was a zit. Like when I was in high school, I would get cystic acne, which is like very intense, deep acne. That's almost like, it's like rocks where you can't pop the zit. It just takes weeks for your body to basically like break it down.
Yeah.
But I got one in my eye socket, like literally right almost like by the corner of my eye. And I thought it was a zit, and I was like, this is a very unfortunate place to get this, because it's
you got to see.
There's no tissue there. It was blocking my vision, and it was so intense that it was putting pressure on my eye, and it was like a throbbing migraine that wouldn't go away. So I ended up going to the hospital, and they were like, okay, well, if it's like a pimple or a zit, it's basically building up pressure by your eye, so we have to release that pressure.
Oh, so Dr. Pimple Popper.
I was like, maybe just pop it and it'd be easy. He gets a giant needle, like a hollow needle, because he's thinking if I put the hollow needle and there's fluid, the fluid will come out of the hole.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and can you imagine like
a needle coming at your eyeball,
coming in your eye, and it's going sideways, so I can completely see it. And he goes in there, and he's like, he could feel that it's hard, but he's thinking if I go low enough, maybe the fluid's underneath. So he like has this needle poking like right here across my eye, and he's wiggling it around. He did give me a shot to numb it, because he's like, you're obviously in pain. I want you to like not feel pain.
Yeah.
And he's like wiggling it around, trying to like, I guess, release the pocket if there's any sort of pocket. And then he's like, I don't think this is like a pimple. I think that this might be some sort of bite. And then he's like kind of looking around, and I don't know if he was able to see, like it was so swollen. I had a black eye. My eye was swollen shut. It was awful. And so he's poking around, nothing's coming out. And he's like, I think you got bit by something. I think it was a spider bite. And he can see, like, as he's looking at it, he can see like the two little like, holes where it would have bit me. And so I got bit by a spider, and come to know now that anything that bites me, a mosquito, I get stung by a bee. Obviously I'm a beekeeper. It happens. I basically turn into like the Marshmallow Man. I just swell up crazy. So whatever it was bit me in my sleep. I got so swollen, and there was nothing. He was like, basically the only thing I can do is give you a Benadryl shot and hope that brings the swelling down, and I can give you an antibiotic. And I was like, whatever you need to do, make this better.
Yeah.
So he gives me the Benadryl shot, which makes me immediately sleepy. And for the pain, they put me on a morphine drip. And I don't know if anyone
like 15,
out there,
right?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone out there, if you've had a morphine, I was like, my dad was with me. I started singing. I was like, Dad, I feel amazing. I love you.
I'm also that person. I actually can't take pain medication.
It was fantastic, but also I was like, wow, I love this. This is amazing. Yeah. So they put me on a morphine drip. They give me the Benadryl, and then he gives me an antibiotic, and the antibiotic is Cipro. I don't know if it's still a common antibiotic. And then I have an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. So both of my eyes swollen shut, rash all over my face. It was like, I literally looked like a mutant. It was awful. And I was like, I came in here for
a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah. I was like, I came in here for you to fix me, and you really fucked me up. So I had to go back, and they're like, oh, it looks like you had a reaction to the antibiotic. Here's another one, which luckily worked. And it took like a week, and the swelling went down. And I still had like, for quite a few years, I had like, almost like a rock feeling
Ooh.
Like, and I think it was just scar tissue from
that
whatever.
fucking spider.
It was gnarly, and I had like a giant bump in my eye, and it was terrible. And although a fun experience to laugh about now, and I can be like, oh wow, that was really funny and hilarious, and I have a funny story to tell, it was awful. So I can only imagine.
I feel like there's a phobia with me too with eyes, because eyes are so delicate, and I'm always like, even when I'm like in a forest and I'm like, branches, fuck, like,
yeah,
because like everyone's always like, they're the consistency of a grape, and I'm like, fuck,
super tender, super fragile.
yes, yeah, and you're like, I need those to live, and anything around it, like even when I. Like this morning, because you know how there's chronic dry eye? I think I have chronic wet eye. So
you do. You're always crying.
I'm always, no, but like.
You're happy you cry. You laugh, you cry.
This is the thing. I am always crying for other reasons, but like I have this thing where like sometimes when it's cold out, like I will walk to Starbucks in the morning on weekends.
Get, like, tears?
Yeah, tears. And like my barista, bless her heart, she's always like, Ashley, what are you going through right now? And I'm like, bitch, I just walked here. I'm happy.
It's just air.
I'm happy. But no, like it happened this morning where like I was shooting at a mall at like 8:30 in the morning, and like I got there and I'm like, I had to apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry my left eye is crying. I'm really happy, but like
but
I just look
sad.
like I'm sad as shit.
So I get it. It's usually when I wear fake eyelashes, and I think it's the eyelash glue. If I ever wear fake eyelashes, I'm constantly like the corners of my eyes are red because it's just dripping.
I'm just always crying, I guess.
But I don't. That's why
I literally just yawned, and now they're gonna.
Did you just hear me try to say I don't wear fake eyelashes? It's I blame the crack and rub. So I don't think I've had. So the spider bite was probably the worst thing. Oh, my lip filler story.
Yeah.
So I would say that I'm not necessarily afraid of needles. I don't really care for them, but I'm not like afraid of them. But maybe it was probably the second time I got lip filler, because the first time I didn't look because I was afraid it was going to like gross me out. So I'm sitting in the chair and there's a mirror in front of me. And then the doctor gave me a mirror, like a handheld mirror so I could hold. And he's like, I want you to watch so you can see where you want more, where you like it. And so as he's like injecting the filler into your lips, he has to like massage it. But he gave me, they call it nerve block. It's what you get when you go to the dentist. Yeah. So they inject your gums, which is terribly painful, with like a numbing fluid. So you can't feel anything. So your lips, he's like, smile. And I'm like nothing works. Maybe. So as he's injecting my lips, he's like pulling on them and massaging them. And I start to get super queasy. And I'm like, why am I so grossed out by and I had to put the mirror down, because the fact of watching someone get a shot or get blood drawn, it's nauseating. Fine, but it's fine to watch someone else.
But yourself,
when they're doing it to me, and I think it was the fact that I couldn't feel it that made me super uncomfortable. I feel like if I could have felt it, it would be fine, but I'm seeing him do something to me and I can't feel it. And it grossed me out. I had to put it down. I was like,
how long ago was that?
It was a couple of years ago.
Fuck.
Yeah, and ever since I've gotten, like, if I ever get it redone, I just don't look. Like, I don't want to know. I don't want to feel it. And now the last couple of times they haven't done the nerve block, so I can feel more of what's going on. Yeah. It's painful, but I'm like, I'm not like... I
had a misfortunate lip injection procedure, which...
Tell me more.
Which was, like, I went, and it was, like, a birthday gift, and essentially
did you like agree to this
I
gift,
was like,
or were
you know what, because
like
I was like, I just want a little bit of more upper lip, like, not a lot, just a plumpage. And so I go, and like the guy was just like, yeah, like you have no upper lip, and I was like, thanks.
Like, screw you, dude.
Screw you.
That's why I'm
here. He's like, we're gonna have to need 2 syringes, and I was like, no,
we're going to have
I am a broke bitch. I will do one. And so I get the 1 syringe, and I wake up the next morning, and like when he does it, it's not bad. Like it didn't look bad. I was fine.
I remember it looked really good.
The next morning, I looked crazy.
Yes, as you do.
He was like, you're gonna feel like you're gonna have little balls in your lips, and I was like, well, I don't want that. I deal with enough little balls. I don't want more in my life, and
especially in your lip.
No. So I went, but it was something that I found really ironic. He was like, you got to drink a lot of water to keep these lips. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like,
with your one tiny bottle of emergency earthquake water.
I woke up and I was like, I don't want these lips. So
No water.
I kept to my regimen. I just didn't drink any water for the next 2 months.
Did your lip balls shrivel up?
They shriveled up. And no one ever knew. Well, like the first 2 weeks, people were like, but then they went away.
Yeah, and
Moral of the story: if you have a fuck up in your lips, don't hydrate.
Water. Just shrivel up and die.
It was a judgment error, but like now I'm just like, that's what lip liner's for.
You just overdraw them lips, and you have
that's what
no
I did
pain.
For this.
You have no little balls in your lips.
We don't like little balls on our lips,
and no man telling you that you have a small upper lip. You just live your life.
No, just live my life.
I feel like that's way better, and it's way less painful.
My Doritos don't actually judge me when I put them in my mouth, whether I have a big fat lip or a little bitch ass one.
So I looked up on my notes are very far, but I'm going to keep them over here. I looked up on our list of medical things, the most bizarre medical horror stories, and found these are kind of the things you hear on the news of like, man went in for an amputation of left leg and they amputated the right, like just crazy
or his
things.
Whole body,
or they cut off all his limbs. So on this list, that's a
photo.
It's just a photo of a man's mouth, but he has a beard, so it looks very
like
it doesn't look like a mouth from here. It looks like
from here, even with my glasses, it looks
like a low
impeccably disgusting.
Yes, it's because he's got a beard and it's okay. We'll continue. So a root canal ruins a man's memory. So I don't know how this happened. So this list, these are one of those lists that like it sounds really intriguing, and then when you read how it happened, doesn't really tell you. So you're left to kind of question what happened. But he went in for like a routine root canal, or I guess root canals aren't really routine, but he had a bad tooth, so they were taking it out. And he woke up and he couldn't remember anything.
I'm just like, oh shit.
I already don't like the dentist.
I've never had a root canal. I don't want to. I have so much to remember.
You're like, I have this very intense schedule.
I have a lot to live for. I can't remember everything, but I need to remember some things.
So this one is not on this list, but it takes us back to kind of medical horror related films. And there's a part in Final Destination. I don't know if it was like 1, 5, or 7. There's so many Final Destination movies, but it's the one where the girl gets LASIK eye surgery.
Yeah,
remember that one?
I'm afraid of LASIK.
So I actually got LASIK 4 years ago. And when I went in for my consultation, maybe it was about 4 years ago. I went in for my consultation. Like my questions for the doctor were basically just revolving around Final Destination. I was like, so if there's an earthquake and you lose track of the laser and it magically like goes around, like,
am I going to be able to see?
Are my eyeballs going to be lasered out of my head? And he's like, just like, God bless his soul. Like he listened to me the entire time. But apparently LASIK laser surgery now has like tracking. So there's like a tracking device. So even if you were to like blink, move your head, if there's any sort of motion that it detects, the laser shuts off. And my LASIK went perfect. Like I see amazing.
I don't, which is why I'm wearing glasses.
Right. So before I couldn't see this far in front of my face. Like if you were sitting right there, I would only know because of your voice.
You've never seen me with glasses.
I've never until today.
I cannot see anything beyond 6 feet away.
Well, and you know what the problem is if you have that and you don't wear glasses,
this is too clear for me.
You're like, now I see
like
the world
all
and I
this
hate
fucking
it.
detail. I like seeing things like I see my camera. Like everything I need is right here, and like everything else is out of focus.
You don't need to focus
unless
on it.
I'm driving, because that's pertinent for me to see.
You need vision.
Yeah, but
so that movie kind of ruined the whole like LASIK procedure, and I was like, honestly, I would say a couple years, I was so afraid I didn't want to do it because I was afraid I would go blind. Yeah. But fun fact, if you're considering LASIK, it's a great procedure, and technically no one has gone blind from the LASIK procedure.
Just from general tomfoolery they have.
Right. Like finger in the eye, whatever. Yeah. Other fun fact, I actually, with my nails, that everyone's like, hey, have you ever poked yourself in the eye? Never. Until like 6 months ago. And I
think you told me that.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing in the garage. I can't remember, but somehow I had my finger and I jabbed myself in the eye. And at first I didn't want to like say anything because I was embarrassed. And I was like, I literally just poked myself in the eye. And then as the day went on, my vision started getting really cloudy. And I was freaking out. I was like, I spent a lot of money on LASIK. I should make sure. And I had Cameron. I was like, hey, can you look in my eye? So he gets a flashlight and he shines it like this way. And there was a giant dent in my eye. I went to the eye doctor and she's like, yeah, there's like a giant dent going from underneath all the way into the upper part of your eye. So I had to get like steroid antibiotics and it was fine. Like my vision was fine. It went back to normal, but nails.
Nubs, guys.
That's why.
Nubs.
See, you're making the right life choice.
I'm a crafter. Like I need to use my hands. I'm literally photoshopping faces all the time.
Well,
so
to be fair, I've had nails like this for like a decade, and that's the first time I've done it. So one time in 10 years is like,
no.
That's a good track record.
Okay.
Okay, continue on my list.
Yeah.
This one is probably the one that I would say, and you kind of had a story similar to this, but it says a debilitating A debilitating abdominal mass turns out to be a surgical towel. So this man had some sort of surgery and then was having like a crazy pain in his abdomen, and finally goes back to the hospital. And eventually, after doing x-rays, they see something. They have to cut him open, and there was a towel. They left a towel in his stomach.
Not like a hand wipe, but a full-on towel?
Full-on. I mean, I don't know how big a surgical towel is, but I'm assuming
it's bigger than a face wipe.
Well, and you think of like, if you or I were to have something left in us, you would see it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, that I can feel that.
I've got a food baby most of the time, but like I can see like a towel
the food baby digests. You'd be like, that's not normal.
That's like Baby Yoda coming out of you. Like,
but
what the fuck?
A towel?
No.
Weren't you you were saying something
about
a lady?
I had a friend who had like a surgical tool.
You know?
Yeah, someone I know, she's a makeup artist, and she had a surgical tool left in her. And so they had to like get it out. And
you've seen tools like on the hospital shows. They're like holding your hand.
I think this one was a little bit smaller, but it was still like enough where like they left it in, and like it's just, I am dumbfounded as to how a team of medical people could leave a object in a body before sewing it back up.
There should be like a checklist.
But then they'd have to go back in and get it out.
They have to take it out.
Yeah.
And like, what if,
and hopefully they don't have to pay for that. Like,
I would be like, that's your error.
Yeah.
That was a hospital error. I'm not covering you cutting me back open to take out the scalpel.
Like a fucking towel though, like that just absorbs all of that shit and probably just get moldy and like.
That's nasty. Gross. So the next one is a man is awakened by his own autopsy. So this man was in a car accident, assumed to be dead. They call his wife. They basically say, sorry, ma'am, your husband is dead. And he is in the coroner's medical office thing, and they're performing the autopsy. And for some reason, I don't know why they would have cut his face open, but they cut his face open and he starts to bleed, which if you're dead, your heart isn't pumping, the blood would, just kind of sit and pool. It wouldn't necessarily like come out. So once they realized that happened, they sewed him back up. And he said he was awakened to a very intense pain. So he was alive.
What the
But it's like, see, a lot of these things that I see, I'm also like, where did this happen? Did that person get their medical license? Like, did they pass with like a C- or like an A+?
Well, because if someone's in the coroner's office, they wouldn't have a pulse. And they're probably in a room with a lot of bodies and it's cold. And like,
or he had like a very low heartbeat or some heart rate. Where
that's a very rare occurrence.
Yeah. But could you imagine like being the coroner and thinking someone's like dead? And then
I
they're
would
like,
not be happy.
Oopsies. Oh, this one's my favorite. And by the photo, you could probably tell. You guys don't get to see the photo. It's just for Ashley.
Oh my God. It's beautiful.
So this one, a woman is getting a cervical surgery. So they are down in her nether regions and using a laser. And while this is happening, she has a little gas and she lets one rip. And
is she under?
She's out. Yeah, she's like under
nothing stops gas.
Anesthesia. And as we all know that your farts are flammable. So when you add fire and farts, she caused a little bitty explosion in the surgical room. And luckily it was like, it doesn't say anyone was hurt. And I don't know that they would have that you would want to have been the person that got like eyebrow hair singed by the lady's fart in the room. But I thought that one was pretty funny.
It'd be iconic.
I think that's it for my list.
That was kind of insane, though.
I honestly, like, we've heard so many stories of people having things inside them or things left inside them. And to me, I'm like, don't ever go back to the hospital.
I think it's better than like in the, 1900s where they were drilling holes in your head, being like, you have a headache, let's drain your brain. Like,
I guess towel in the abdomen is a lot less severe than.
I mean, it sucks, but like we've said before, like there's so many things even in present day. Like we can talk about amputations and like weird medical procedures from the 1800s, but like we have fucking idiots getting Brazilian butt lifts, dying. Butts.
Injecting random things
so
into
it's
them.
Like we've just elevated to a different medical standard.
Yeah,
and we can cope with it because we have more technology. But it's just like now we're getting too comfortable. But
yeah, and I think that with advances in like medical tech, that people go a little crazy, and that's kind of another thing. And I know we talked about this in a previous episode where we were talking about like weird beauty things. Mm-hmm. I think the capability of doing things like now they can essentially reconstruct your whole face with filler. Yeah. And it's like non-surgical like facelifts. Mm-hmm. Which I find fascinating, and I'm get sucked into those Instagram videos where you see like before and afters, and you would have sworn that person had a chin implant or that person had like a cheek lift or whatever, and it's all just done by injectables. Yeah. So I would say like the technology and the things that we're able to do. My only concern is what happens in a couple decades. We're injecting things into our body like Botox, and I get Botox. Yeah. Botox is botulism. You're essentially injecting something into your face that paralyzes your muscles. Yeah. And as you can see, my forehead moves a lot, so my Botox has gone away. But
I got bangs because I haven't gotten Botox in a year.
Bangs, I feel like, are the better method, but I have a cowlick, so if I get bangs, I just like go like that, so it doesn't work for me. But what is like the long lasting effect? Because right now, no one's going to tell you it's bad for you.
Kind of like what I said about vaping. Like they were just finding out now that it's like, oh, now it sucks. Like,
everyone's like, oh, it's better for you
what
than
if
smoking.
it affects your bloodstream and like your muscular like strength and your whole body?
It's a chemical introduced into the body that is a foreign object. Just like implants of like the butt lift or whatever. You're putting something in your body that's not supposed to be put in there. Yeah. So right now it seems like, oh, this is totally fine. It's the instant gratification. But are we going to look back on this in 10 years and 15 years and find out that this is causing cancer?
Yeah. To be determined. Maybe all of our faces will just freeze.
So do we have any more weird medical things that you would like to share?
I mean, I could go for days, but like...
But is it time to move on to my favorite part of the show?
I don't want to do this though.
You do though. You totally do. No. So it is time for Ashley's favorite part of the show, creepy treats. But you're gonna entertain the folks while I go get our smorgasbord.
Is it in the fridge?
No, it's just on the floor. But it's it's heavy, so I gotta go pick it up.
Okay, guys. I don't know what I'm gonna fucking entertain you with, but I'm gonna entertain you with my face if you're watching via Spotify via YouTube. If you're on Spotify, then you should probably watch on YouTube because our faces are glorious and they deserve a look or two, maybe. But we wear hats today that oh my God, what the fuck is this? No.
Hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
Interruption. This infomercial just got really dark. I'm going to put it. I don't feel like I trust you anymore. It's so this is Christmas. Think about how great of a person I am.
You're a great person. Okay, I'm gonna actually put my microphone on. So what do you always call it? It's a fancy name.
Amuse-bouche?
Amuse-bouche.
These look like amuse trash.
What does that mean again?
It's a small palette cleanser.
Oh, this is not that. This is like more of like a charcuterie.
Fuck.
It's a charcuterie.
Wait, cheese? Is it baked brie?
No. It is I was like, oh, I'm going to show off my
I already ate dinner.
Listen, I'm going to show off my sweet Ouija board, like cutting board, which I didn't really think it through. And then I put a bunch of shit on it. So now you can't really see that it's a Ouija board cutting board. It's also holding my microphone. So this
I really
is
don't like this.
This is going back to our creepy treat smorgasbord charcuterie magic picking game. I had a better name for it earlier, and that's just what came out. So you get to pick and choose. And I honestly, to be fair, I don't remember what is in them.
I'm not going to eat them.
But it's the people watch the show for you to put
Not if
things
they're
in
in
your mouth.
Spotify.
But
no,
they
don't.
They listen
I would
to
say,
the sounds
no,
for the ASMR.
I would say 98% of the people on here listened for our darling personalities. I don't have to fucking put it in my mouth.
That's 98% listen for our darling personalities, but then that leaves 2% that solely listen for us to eat the creepy treats.
Did you make these or buy these?
Both. That was not very convincing. Both. So you get to decide, and there's just a bunch of. I'm gonna lift it up for you guys to see.
I don't like this game. I thought we weren't gonna do this anymore.
Well, no one agreed or disagreed to anything. So this is just a bunch of different things with aluminum foil on them to hide them. And Ashley gets to. I'll eat them too.
I don't want to eat any of them.
But some.
I don't want any more balls in my lips.
Tiny balls you can put in your lips.
It's almost 2020. I can't do a lot of balls right now.
No more balls in the lips. So you get to decide, and to be fair, quite fair, they're cute little Halloween bowls, so they look real cute.
Yeah, well, that's ideal.
Look at the candy corns. Look at how cute that is. And then you get to pick, and then you get to try magical things.
I don't want to try. I have diarrhea.
Well, that's a personal problem. And once you uncover it, you have to try it. That's the rule of the game.
You can't.
I'll try it with you.
Can I? Is there any life alerts or life?
What does that mean?
Lifelines?
Life alerts like the thing if you fall down the stairs, you hit the button.
No, there's like a lifeline where you can be like, oh wait, yeah, you can be like, oh wait, I want to switch. Like there's one switch, and then there's one.
Okay, so we're gonna make the rules.
Fuck a friend or whatever.
This game is getting real weird. So we can do like a lifeline where. If you say, okay, I picked that one, but I don't want it, I'm going to try another one.
Yeah.
But then if it's another bad thing, then you have to eat both.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Just go into the one you initially picked.
I was Gummy Bells.
Shit. That's just round one. So this is a 3-round game.
So wait, do you get to pick one next? Yeah, you do. Because this isn't fair that I just try all these things.
But... the thing is, I don't have a problem with eating. You guys know I'll eat anything. They're like organic gummy bears from Sprouts. Cameron made new rolls.
Bear at you.
That's so loud. Well, so now you know what these are. So these can be like your chaser gummy bears. She can chase it with the next thing.
I'm not eating all of these, and I'll say that right now. I'll eat 4 out of 6.
Okay. You're cheating.
This one. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want it. So that's my life alert.
This is the Chapolines. This is your life alert. So this is the grasshoppers. But remember, if you pick another bad thing, then you have to eat both.
Well, you don't have to.
I make the rules
call
here.
911.
I have the charcuterie. That's a fancy word meaning I have a board with things on it and I make the rules.
I want cheese. How many are good and how many are bad?
It depends on what you consider good and bad, because if it were me, I would say they're all good. See, I'll eat a grasshopper. These are adobo grasshoppers.
If I pick something up and I don't like it, can I opt to eat that instead?
You have to eat both. If it's bad, you have to eat both.
No, I don't like this game.
These are actually really good. They're like chili lime.
I like that she says if they're both bad, she could choose which one out of the bad.
Okay. Next.
That's a fruitcake.
See, when you said are they good or bad, like to me, I like, and you can't just eat the nut off of it.
That's what she said.
It was a pecan.
Well, but how am I supposed to eat?
She just likes nuts and little balls in her lips.
No, I'll eat the whole thing.
That's a really good fruitcake, actually. Oh, so no grasshoppers?
No, I don't like this one.
Yeah, not unless she gets another bad one.
Oh, if you get another bad one, then you get to pick.
Well, there's going to be one bad one I have to eat.
I'm trying to remember what I put in there. Okay, I remember now. So you have 4 more options. How many more does she have to pick, Cameron?
No, 2 more. That's it.
I would say...
And then you have to eat the last remaining 2.
Okay.
Bitch.
I mean, bitch.
Oh, that's not.
Oh, that's just foil.
Wait, no.
Oh, wait,
it's
so there's
one
only
more. So it's
3
one
left.
more. And
No,
then
you
you have and then you have to do the last 2. You have to.
I like how you just changed the rules.
And then I can switch it.
Okay. They all make the same sound. Mother effer.
She has to eat those with the cricket.
No.
Can I put a cricket in between the
No.
Vienna finger?
No, because I picked the right one.
This is her favorite. I was like, I really need to be more crafty
Do
about.
you know that song by
You know
John
what-
Mayer, Your Body's a Wonderland? Mine's like Your Body's a Trash Can, and I can smell the shit.
And all it is Vienna fingers. Next time, I'm not gonna reveal my secret. I have a ploy to trick you. Okay.
Crickets on top.
I know. I should have wrapped the crickets in Vienna finger shaped foils.
Okay, so it's your turn.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem with anything. This is garlic salt crickets, which I would say out of all the crickets I've purchased are my favorite. And then this little nugget right here.
What
I actually
the
don't
fuck?
know what this is. It's a bug in a chocolate. And I want to say that's like a grasshopper, right? It looks
I
like a
did
grasshopper
good.
size because the crickets are pretty small.
I did real good. I'm gonna keep this guy.
It's like I don't know what that was. That was some sort of bug in chocolate, but it was like the cheap, like CVS chocolate. Not very good chocolate. And you're just eating Vienna fingers. So
You thought you would fool me?
I did. I'm not very good at this game. The first thing you picked was out of all the things, she picked the gummy bears, the fruitcake, grasshoppers, and then opted out of grasshoppers and then got cookies. So really,
Am
that
I a
backfired on
legend?
me. You are. And then that's like when we played the what's the stupid bean game?
Oh yeah.
Every time we play the jelly bean
And I always
Bamboozled,
get the good ones.
you always get the good ones and I always get the shit ones. Like literal vomit, dirty socks.
Chalk it up to magic, bitch.
Yeah. Whatever. I need some of that magic.
Up to my hat.
It's your newspaper boy hat.
Yeah, I'm just speaking the news, the truth.
You have cookie on your face.
What else?
Get
is
right
there?
here. All right, Fiends. So thanks for joining us for this episode of Let's Get Spooky. I'm Leanna Vamp.
And I'm Ashley.
And you can watch all of our videos on our website at letsgetspooky.com. You can also download us on iTunes and you can listen on Spotify. So until next time, don't forget to stay spooky.